All right, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to do Red Sonja, She-Devil with the Swords, issue number 13 from Marvel Comics. I have read a lot of Red Sonja in my back in the day, but I have all mostly the Dutch versions with different covers. So I'm very happy to, that I got this one in the original form. So yeah, and it's been years since I've touched these old comics and these stories. So I forgot a lot about it. So let's dive in. And to my surprise, it's been drawn by John Buscema, who is one of my favorite artists of all times, with Al Milgrom and Roy Thomas as the writer and editor, which is cool. So we see here Red Sonja. She is, let's say, infiltrating, if you can call it that, the city of Skranos. And she has been here sent by a man that has now been, somehow been transformed into some kind of a nether realm in probably the last issue that I don't have, but, I've still got the Dutch versions. And that person is Sumaro. Sumaro is basically the bastard son of the king. And but there is another son that wants to rule Skranos. But and the king is basically very sick. So, but she's here on a mission. Okay, she's here infiltrating, these halls of, I don't know, some kind of a pleasure dome, if they call it here. And it seems somehow the guards are asleep. What Buscema and El Milgram are really good at is, drawing beautiful women. Yeah, it looks great. But, Sonja here is not for that, and she doesn't even know why people take pleasure in all of these so-called festivities. She says, Sonja has never quite understood the precise enjoyment some men derive from watching some animal writhings, even to the tune of music, the unnatural twisting of interchangeable human puppets. So when the women are done, they are going back to the quarters, and every woman has their own quarter. And then Red Sonja appears in one of these women's quarters. Okay. And she says, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? It's forbidden, even for a woman. And then she throws her a coin, and she says, a coin? A gold coin? But if it's meant for me, but I've no use for it. All our needs are attended to by the eunuchs, the guys with no dicks. We are not allowed to. She says, then make the charm bracelet of it. Then make the charm bracelets of it. I don't care. It's to pay for those rags you have on, what little there is of them. And she doesn't understand, and she says, hey, let me put it in another way. A coin in your non-existent pocket or my dagger in your throat. Take a pick. So yeah, Red Sonja is a real tough girl. She's a real hard ass. I like her a lot. Just like Conan, it's from the same universe and mostly the same writers. And Robert E. Howard just made her love it. So she's wandering the streets and she's looking for someone, and then she hears a voice from some kind of a quarters here. You heard me all right, albino. There's a hair of a wench in all of Skranos deserving a good man's time. Show me one, and by Mitra, I lavish time and money on her worthy of the son of a king. So she does something to her hair, and then this guy is leading to this person, and he says, now, greybeards, where is this woman you were chattering about? And then she says, I am here, my lord. You get gone, old man. And he invites her in. And she's playing along, and she says, well, I've not seen you around before. Not that I've seen you all that well, And she says, then I'll show you a bit more, my lord. Tell me, are you not Oryx, true son and rightful heir of Quillos, general of generals? That's the old man I was talking about earlier. And he says, yeah. But why talk of that dying old man at a time like this? Strange, you seem familiar somehow, but I'm certain I would have remembered. And then she's, trying to talk a little bit to him, but then she is making a mistake, and she says, "It's Quillas I have come to Skranos to see, my lord Oryx. It's said he appreciates dance as much as myself." So yeah, it seems that Oryx is offended, and then he wants to do nothing with her, and he wants to punish her. And then this albino guy comes out, and he says, so Oryx says, "Hey, you want her? I give it to you, white hair." So this what is his name, by the way? Ramin. So Ramin just immediately wants to something from her, but Red Sonja says, "Hey, don't touch me," and so he thinks he's all that. Skipping a few pages. So yeah, he's becoming a little bit more aggressive, but then he gets punched in the face by Red Sonja. So Oryx. Oryx says, "Mitra, I never knew a woman who I thought could. Wait, perhaps I did. Yes, it's you, the Harkanian. And what do you want with my ailing father? That's not of your concern, dog." So he kicks her. "Everything in Skranos is my concern, for soon Quilla will die, and I shall rule the city. And you'll not see it, for I'll kill you first." But then, what's his name? I forget his name. Ramin says, "Hey, just spare her. She could be useful." But then this son of the general says, "The devil with you, Skranos, and with you, albino. I hesitated once to slay her." So yeah, it seems that they have some kind of a history together. "And now she ruins with my hated half-brother Sumaro, who plots my downfall." And then basically he wants to kill her. But then the albino guy interferes, and then he's turning against his master. And then why am I forgetting all the time? It's so embarrassing. Oryx is turning against this albino, and he wants to kill him. But it seems that the albino has some kind of a connection with mammoths. So he calls them. He says, "To me, great dumb," and then this is happening. Looks spectacular, by the way. And he is trampling Oryx to death. So he is no more. And then he says, "Hey, Red Sonja, get up." And basically he changed his tune. And Red Sonja says, "I warn you, albino. Act like you did earlier, and I lay you out here, behemoth or no behemoth." So he basically apologizes somewhat. And he says, "I acted it a little bit rash before, spurred on by Oryx's taunts, but that's not my usual way with women or with animals." Not sure what you mean with that. And so, "Are you able to control the Tuskers far better than anyone else?" So he explains that he has that connection. So she is, climbing these creatures, and they're riding to more like the main city or to the palace royal. And then there are these guards in uproar. And he says, "Look, the Tuskers, they've broken free from the pens and charged the palace. We are doomed." So the albino says, "Hey, we mean you no harm, but you, unless you raise a spear against us." So basically, he says that, Red Sonja needs to talk to the general. So Red Sonja is being taken by the general, but the general also says, "I have wayward schoolboys I have guarding me, not men." And they are apologizing. He says, "But sire, I swear to you that..." "Never mind, you may go away, and worry not about leaving me alone with this armed young lady. From all I've heard, if she truly desired to kill me, you'll not able to prevent her anyway." So yeah, this is the general of the generals, and Red Sonja is here, and it seems that this man is dying. And she says, "You are wise, for one who once wed the jilted a sorceress." "Apa Allah, you mean? Yes, I thought one such as you would know about her." And she says, "Do you know who I am? We old war horses have our ways, even in our deathbeds. I must inform you, I'm afraid that your son Oryx is no more." And it seems that this general is not really, how do you say, sad that he is gone. He says, "I will mourn him, but I will not miss him." It seems he was not a favorite. So Sonja says, "You have another son, Quillas. one who make a better ruler for Skranos than ever Oryx would have. I speak of Apa'ala's son Sumaro. Where is he now, my outcast offspring? I'm not sure. In some netherworld from which he can never return by his own decree, unless you restore him to his birthright. So the old man says, I'm gladly do that, but he was my favorite as well. And but it's not simple as I fear. This crown, which even I have never learned to don, would make him the king as well as general of generals upon my rapidly approaching demise. Give it to me then, if you wish that. First thing first, put out the lights, if you will. Red Sonja is doing that. And then he says, it will not easy, I grant you, but will you take the crown to my son? I will try, general, I swear. Here then, but beware. When I learn of Apa'ala's sorceress powers and spurn her, she put a curse on it, and she did, on a wedding castle. I would never wear it, and you. I don't want to wear it, sire. My only desire is to use somehow to bring Sumaro back from wherever he is, but then when she touches, something is happening, a lot of energy is flowing into her, and she's in a lot of pain, and then an invisible force throws her to the walls, and there's a lot of ants in here, look at this. Anyway, and she is, in torment, but she doesn't cry out in pain, and she's still being flung through walls and other things. And the old man is saying, Mitra, I did not know I would be like this. Give it up, girl, while you still live. And she says, no, I swore to Sumaro to win his birthright for him or die in the trying. And I will do either the one or the other. But then the invisible force is now breaking her back or something like that. And for now, for the first time, the real agony begins. It looks great. Like I said, beautiful looking art. And then this is happening. So through the curse, she suddenly starts to age rapidly. Well, normally you would not survive if you are looking like this. And but then the general says, Apa'ala, this is your doing. You set a trap for me, for Oryx, who was not your son. Aye, even for Sumaro, who is. But you caught only one who has done you no wrong. Spare her, who is the only link to the son of us both. Spare her and Sumaro wherever he is, and I'll be yours after all these years if you still want me. Oops, more ads. So then she appears, Apa'ala, and she materializes, and she says, after so many years, dear Quillas, you called, and you come in the serpent form in which you appeared before me on our wedding night. Why? Perhaps because I thought it might stir old feelings. But you remain as young, as beautiful as ever, while I am old, dying. And she says, I loved you, Quillas, I still love you, but you would not believe that an immortal sorceress could love, and so you fled from me that night, and I have hated you for it ever since, even while loving you. And now would you let our son perish in some nether place to punish me? I meant to, beloved, but looking at you again, even changed as you are, I cannot. I shall remove the crown's deadly curse. Let it be passed to Sumaro, and if you will join me willingly in my own nether kingdom, one the far side of death. And he says, I will. And then it seems that one burst of curse is still flowing through the body of Red Sonja, and then it's fading away, and she is on the verge of passing out. And then she sees Sumaro. Is it really you? It is, Sonja. I'm back from the land of the darkness in which I hold myself. I tried to get your crown, Sumaro. He says, hush now and rest. The crown doesn't matter. So he says something to his mother and about some kind of a chalice or an emblem. And he wants to say, hey, you're not getting that because you are evil. And then Apa'ala says, the emblem's chalice no longer concerns me, or you, my son, Quillas beloved. I've kept my word. Will you keep yours? And he's nodding yes. And then, it looks fantastic, by the way. Look at this. I love this negative art here. We were fools, Quillas. Both of us you hated for so many years when we could have loved. Yet, what is time to an immortal, save a way to measure the eternal seasons? We have an eternity before us, with you restored to youth, full vigor in nameless climb, and this time, perhaps, we shall both of us be wiser than we were before. Oh man, I love the dialogue. So they are disappearing, and Sumaros is afraid that they are never seeing his father and wife, his father and mother again. And also he acknowledged that his half-brother Oryx is dead. And Sonja says, yes, by my hands, though not truly by my wishes. And here's the crown I promised to get for you. Though again, I wish to occasion were a happy one. Leaders have fewer happier moments than their followers suspect. And now I must be going, Sonja says. Going? But after you all have done, all of you risk for me. I dared hope that. Don't say it, Samaro, please. You wed me, wouldn't you? Put me on the throne beside you and make me mistress of Skranos. Yes, what's wrong with that? I love you, Sonja, don't you? It's not important, Samaro. I make no man a good wife. It's not what I was born for, it seems. Perhaps one day when the wanderlust leaves me, there will be time then for a husband, for children. And Samaro's very sad. And she says, that time is not now, I fear. Do you understand, dear Samaro? So he has no choice to let her go. But he says some final words. Do what you must do, Sonja of Hyrcania. But always remember that once in the distant land, somewhere far behind you, a man loved you. Perhaps that memory will make some cold, cloudless night just a little bit warmer. And if it does, then it will always have been worth it after all. What a great ending. What a great piece of art here. Man, and this is from 1978, guys. Just so good. And Roy Thomas, fantastic writer. I'm very fond of these kind of comics. It brings me back to, I'm not saying happier times, but when comics were, I don't know, more in the vein of the world that the writer intended them to be in, right? Talk in the same manners, no modern